Every eureka moment feels like luck. What if you could have it on purpose? You have probably had this thought before. If I stop thinking, am I not just getting lazy? It is a fair question. Animals do not sit around overthinking. Objects do not think at all. What makes us different, supposedly, is our ability to reason, plan, and anticipate. So when someone tells you to quiet your mind, it sounds like they are telling you to downgrade, to become less human, to drift. And yet, you have also had the other experience, the moment where your mind was completely singular, no noise, no second guessing, just one clear direction and a quiet confidence that comes with it. In that moment, you have made a decision that turns out to be exactly right. You produced something that felt effortless. You knew what to do and you did it. Most people call this a eureka moment. They treat it like lightning, random, a gift. The question nobody asks is, how do you have that moment again? On purpose. The Dhamma, the law of nature, has a term for the state the untrained mind is usually in. It is not called thinking. It is called proliferation. The mind spinning out chains of association, worry, memories, and fantasy, one thought triggering the next without direction or end. The Pali word is papanika. It is not productive. It is not reasoning. It is noise that mistakes itself for thought. The distinction matters because most of what we call thinking is actually just this: the mind wandering, burning energy and calling the exhaust clarity. The trained alternative is called samadhi. The word is often translated as concentration, but a better rendering is collectedness. The mind gathered, unified, settled on one point, not blank, not dull, singular. It's the difference between a light bulb scattering photons in every direction and a laser. The sources describe the untrained mind as a wild monkey, swinging branch to branch, never still, exhausting itself for nothing. The meditator who learns to collect the mind on one object, like the breath, begins to see this clearly. The restlessness is not intelligent. It is a habit, and like any habit, it can be trained. Here is what the practice reveals. Between every stimulus and every response, there is a gap. Ordinarily, the gap is invisible because reaction is instant. A sensation arises, craving or aversion fires, and the mind already gone. Meditation widens the gap. The sources call it as a shock absorber. In that space, you are no longer a machine executing old programming. You can choose. Modern neuroscience found the same structure from a different direction. The neurologist Marcus Riker discovered what is now called the default mode network. Is the brain idle chatter? Active when you are not focused on anything in particular, and it correlates strongly with rumination, anxiety, and unhappiness. When the mind is directed onto a single object, whether the breath or a task, the default mode network quiets. Focused attention is not the absence of thought, it is the upgrade. This is why the eureka moment feels like lightning. You did not create it, you stumbled onto it. The mind, for a brief accidental window, stopped proliferating and became collected. The practice is learning to open that window deliberately. This is breath concentration, a foundation training for a collected mind. 10 minutes. First, anchor. Sit comfortably, back upright. Bring your attention to the natural breath at the rim of the nostrils. Feel the air, slightly cool coming in, slightly warm going out. This single point of sensation is your object. Everything else is noise. Then, notice the wandering. Within seconds, the mind will leave. A thought about tomorrow, a memory, a worry. This is not failure. This is the moment the training actually begins. You cannot train what you cannot see. Return without commentary. Do not analyze why you wandered. Do not get frustrated. Simply return your attention to the breath. Every return is one repetition. That is how the muscles builds. Watch the gap appear. Over time, you will start to notice the moment before the mind wanders. A subtle impulse, a tiny pull towards the next thought. That is the gap. That is where the choice lives. Take it with you. When the Dhamma ends, sit quietly for a moment. Then bring the collected attention into the next thing you do. Whether it is writing an email or having a conversation, one thing fully. The goal is not to stop thinking forever. The goal is to stop thinking by default, so that when you do think, it is deliberate. A laser, not a light bulb. I used to believe that a busy mind was a sharp mind. It took me 20 years to realize that most of what I called thinking was just noise that looked like productivity. The best decision that I ever made came from stillness, not from more thinking. I write this because I wish someone had told me earlier. Training the mind to stop is not lazy. It is the most disciplined thing you can do, and it is the foundation of every other skill worth having. The Middle Path is a biweekly newsletter on practical Dhamma, ancient teachings, live application, no religion required.